Session Chair, Mr. Siraj Narsi, and all the distinguished guests here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My topic today is in the light of Allama Iqbal's educational philosophy, ego, its maintenance and development in early childhood education. Now, to begin with that, why did I choose Iqbal? I would be a bit quick. I think, I don't know how much time do I have? 10 minutes. Okay. So, through this paper, I seek to present from Iqbal's philosophy of education, his educational aims and objectives. It has been all derived from his two anthologies of poem, Asrar-e-Khudi and Ramooz-e-Bekhudi. And according to Iqbal, that a strong ego already exists within a child. And if it is nurtured in a facilitating environment of freedom, self-discovery, and self-learning, is going to develop a strong identity of the individual who is possessed with self-respect and become the most beneficial member of the society. I also seek to propose a positive challenge to all policymakers, educationists, and of course, as we discussed, all stakeholders, to rebuild the current system of education of early childhood in the light of Iqbal's educational philosophy. Now, why did I choose Iqbal? Here at Allama Iqbal Open University, it's my honor to be here. I've come from Karachi, been working on Iqbal for a very long time, and Dr. Muhammad Abid Ali, he did his PhD on Allama Iqbal's educational philosophy from University of Malaysia. And we found that Iqbal, we all know that Iqbal is the ideologue of Pakistan. And he has lucidly presented his educational philosophy from our own perspective. And very interestingly enough, his message enjoys universal acceptability and applicability. I went through a number of books from Malaysia and Indonesia and even Russia, and it was a pleasant surprise that all segments of our society and universally, Iqbal's message is being accepted by all. What Iqbal says is that his source of all his poem and all his philosophy is derived from Quran. And he has given a very strong statement about that in Asrar-e-Khudi, that disgraced me on the day of reckoning to abject to embrace thy holy feet. But if I ever treaded, I'm sorry for the spelling mistake here, if I ever treaded on my chain the pearl of the Quran's sweet mysteries. So, as the poet of the East and as the thinker of Pakistan and the ideologue of Pakistan, Iqbal's educational philosophy stands out, and I feel that it's high time that, inshallah, if you're going to integrate that within our existing curricular systems, it's going to give a very positive result. A very quick look at the methodology, that it was a transformational research, and it explored actually for the first time all the educational aims and objectives from Iqbal's, as I said, 2 books. And from those hermeneutical interpretations from the books, thematic deduction were very, drawn very successfully in a very organized way. And it was under the supervision of Mr. Khurram Ali Shafiq. As we all know, he's an expert of Allama Iqbal. Now, Iqbal has said a lot of things. Basically, his literature review is very extensive, but I've tried to cover some of the aspects. That the most important thing during the early childhood is that every individual is uniquely positioned in the universe. Now, as we shall see, if we get the time in the later slides, that the very dilemma of the current education system is that every child, like Frank Smith said, that is being treated by like every other child, which makes quite a mess of that child's individuality when he is in the developmental years of his life. So the child's most dominant ability is to create, and he has the capacity to shape his own fate. And being passive and dormant is very alien to a highly developed self, or as Iqbal said, khudi, or we say ego or self-actualization. So basically, it's a very dynamic educational philosophy as given by Iqbal. Now, I have taken early childhood from 0 to 7 years instead of 8 years. There's a rationale behind that. As we see in the Seerah also, and according to a lot of modern Western educationists as well, that the milestones of a child or a person's life is divided into 0 to 7, then 7 to 14, then 14 to 21. So whether we take it, prenatal -1, which is an excellent and an ideal life when the child begins, or the mother does not even begin to conceive. From that, the child up till the age of 7 or 8, he is in the process of defining his individuality. Nobody has to say that we need to teach. According to Iqbal, we see that what we do in our education system, that we become experts and we think this is the way the child learns. This is the way we should teach to the child. We never see how the child is programmed for learning. And what he needs is a facilitating and a nurturing environment where a minimum of disruption and minimum of foreign intervention is required. If he gets a lot of intervention, his learning is hampered. So his love of curiosity and his accepting challenges is satisfied as he discovers his very I. Now, this I notion, according to Iqbal, is not that narcissist I that we live in that culture, but it is the self-actualization where each child thinks himself as very unique individual, and he wants to find out who he is or who she is. And in that, he craves to come out as a winner, because that is in his inherent nature to challenge everything, to find his own enemies, and to win over his enemies. In that process, he develops his own self and his ego. So individually, a child given all these opportunities in the early childhood will result in a generation that would serve years and years ahead. Since I have just 5 minutes, I would very quickly go. John Holt, we all know that he was very much against for the children going to school, and he said that children, when they are provided with rich and stimulating environment, they learn what they are ready to learn and when they are ready to learn. They have their own pace of learning. And I quoted already Frank Smith, that they should not be sent to school at age 5. And as we were discussing the Finland education system, up till the age of 7, now all the modern education systems are also discouraging. So what to go ahead? Inshallah, I am going to give a proposal very quickly. Maria Montessori, we all know, from 0 to 6, that's a unique ability to learn and his age to learn. Then, so according to Iqbal, education focus on nurturing an individual who is a self-contained exclusive center. He should know who he is, so that in this process of education, he becomes such an unique individual that he becomes self-respected, self-responsible, and he is ready to face his creator on the day of judgment, which is the basic philosophy of Iqbal. Now, as a social function, Iqbal says that individualism is not developed in isolation. To Iqbal, a child or a human being is very dynamic and very social. Without participation of the society in his learning and education, and then in his serving to the society as he gives back, it is absolutely necessary. So school should provide such an environment that is conducive to development of good character and the most beneficial entity. So all the curriculum is derived from Quran and Sunnah, and as we see that the signs of Allah, the main source of education, as Iqbal has said, khol aankh zami dekh, falak dekh, fiza dekh, mashriq se ubharte hue suraj ko zara dekh. So it encompasses all sciences, whether they are physical or they are metaphysical, they are living or they are dead, they are social or they are scientific propositions. So the curriculum, what sort of curriculum we can develop in the light of Iqbal's philosophy? It should be dynamic, child-centered, child-friendly. Is it over? 1 minute, thank you. And as I said, it's non-interruptive. I'm being interrupted quite a lot. So the natural environment for learning, as facilitators, we need to do that. A very important focus that I would like to give you, I think verbally, instead of going very fast, that I really liked the idea of Agah Waldain. It's a very creative and novel idea, and it's very close to child's nature, where the whole family is involved. So according to Iqbal, mother is the main component of a child's education. And by compartmentalization of classes, that this is kachi and this is one, a child schooling is like a home. Instead of making home a school or thinking of a learning center as a school, we can think it as a home, where mothers should also be involved in education. And as I heard Sister Shaheen for the first time, Atiqur Rahman, she said that our rural population, think of those mothers who cannot take part in their education because of so many problems and issues that we have already discussed. So what if we have a center which is a community center where parents are involved, then they can have economic empowerment as well there. We can have some skill development program. We can have some programs where they can sell their products. The children are near that. The children are near their parents, parents are near. Those parents who agree, they can look after the children, they are trained, the facilitators, they are trained, and we don't need to go to a very, very specialized form of early childhood education. I am, alhamdulillah, a grandmother of 8 and been in education for the last 20 years, and we are homeschooling as well as running school. And after all sorts of experiments, the best thing is that if parents are involved in any way, they will be trained. Our human resource is being trained. Our family system is being reestablished. Our teachers are trained, and we don't need to go into a very high level of training program in the early childhood. And I'll just finish with the assessment that I believe that assessment should not be conducted. It should only be formative and at the most diagnostic, because the child needs an environment where he should be a part of the development of curriculum. And the curriculum should be loosely structured, and the child should be tested against his own progress. And the environment needs to be readjusted, so that the child's growth is not hampered just because we are competing him against the other. And the discipline is the main element, but it is without fear and it is non-threatening environment, because according to Iqbal, fear is the mother of all evils. And the more we instill fear and corporal punishment in the child, and we test the child, and we threaten the parents that if your child is not going to do this, we are going to do that, all the benefits of the early childhood is gone, because that ego, that personality, that self-confidence of the child, that self-respect of the child, which is the foundation of these early years, they are all gone. So we need a very respectable, a respectful environment where the child has his own pace of learning. Thank you very much.
What is the effect of that child who is living without his father? Maybe due to the purpose of the earning, of his earning, or due to the divorce, or due to the separation. Because when we talk about the holistic care, so there is an equal partnership between a father and a mother, a husband and a wife, when it's talk about the nurturing of a child, okay? Yes, it's true, the development is very, very vulnerable to the risk and critical wisdom of time, and the responsibility is going to the both, the husband and a father, when it's come to the early childhood development. And yes, father is a very key person who is responsible for not only the earning, because what our culture is, earning is the part of the father and nurturing basically is a part of the mother. But no, recent researches prove that the responsibility is going equally to the both, the mother and father. So yes, father is a key person, and the children who are living in the absence of the father is basically undergoing through the father hunger throughout the lifespan. And this is proved by the National Fatherhood Initiative, which reported that children who are living without father are reportedly having so many problems and trouble throughout the lives. They are going to the violence, abuse, and they are in a prison, because a father is a person who are giving the values to the child. And when we go for the researches in Pakistan, yes, Brunner researches prove that children who are living without father have the low concentration span, having a low grades in the studies, and also having some problems in not only in a physical but a mental development. So the aim of my study was to explore the role of a father in a child growth and development, and to know this perspective, I go to the mothers and understand her perceptions, what she is feeling, because she is living without his husband and nurturing the child. This is basically a qualitative exploratory approach, and the inclusion criteria is a single mother who are living with their children aged 1 to 8 years, and they are living without the husband, and a child is living without a father since 6 months or more than 6 months. The study setting was basically in the urban area of the Karachi, and a study tool are the focus group discussions and in-depth interviews were going through. The themes were categorized in analyzing the research, the role of a father in child development, and in this theme, the physical, emotional, and social development is basically carried out. The another theme was the problem faced by the mother, because a mother is nurturing the child, looking after the home chores also, and looking after the outdoor chores also. So what are the problems the mother is facing? And a third theme, like in the absence of the father, who are the support system who are providing support to the mother? So when we go for the first theme, here I quoted the mother's statement, what the mothers are stated when they are asking about the father absence. So basically a mother said, yes, fathers are important in child life because he is the one who is responsible for earning for the whole family. And the another mother quoted, child nurturing is a parent's duty. Mother is responsible for the feeding, bathing, cooking, and father work whole day, earn money for family, and support the family financially. Fathers are as important as mother. So all the mothers who are interviewed either in the focus group discussion or in an in-depth, they agreed, yes, fathers are equally responsible in the child growth and development. They are not holistically go for the only earning purpose. They are equal partners in child nurturing. One mother quoted, children need fathers' hugs and kisses when they pass in their exams. Fathers are like buddy to the son. Children expect the love and the care from father. Although my husband is in Africa right now, he called us daily, but still children missed him a lot. Because physical presence is something which is demanded by the children and a mother. We quickly go through the theme number 2, which is the problem faced by the mother in the absence of the father. The mother realized that they are not able to look after the children all the day. She is busy in the cooking and the home chores. So we just divided the problems into two main categories. The emotional problems, the mothers are also stressed. Mother also experience depression while nurturing their children, because there is no one where she can go to ventilate. She cannot go to their in-laws. She cannot go to her parents to ventilate, so she is basically missing her life partner to ventilate. And the financial problems, yes, the mothers who are having the divorce and a separation, and single mothers, so yes, they are having the problems of the jobs, low wages, and the changing of the school because of the high fees, and also not able to give the expensive birthday gifts, because see, children are comparing. Okay, this child have the father, उसका डैडी तो शाम में आ जाता है, मेरा डैडी क्यों नहीं आता? मेरे डैडी भी जॉब के लिए हैं, तो why he is not coming home in the evening? So because children are comparing, so these are some of the problems. The support system, yes, if the father is absent, if the mother don't have her life partner with her, so the support systems are the family, in-laws, the parents of the mother, sometimes the friends, neighbors, brother and sisters, empathetically or asympathetically help the mother in nurturing. So result concluded that the physical absence contributed in the negative outcome on the child growth and development, the low concentration span, the low academic results, and girl and a boy child both equally suffers when they are living without their father. Recommendation, yes, these kind of conferences are needed to give the message that fathers are equally responsible in the child nurturing, and there is a role of a father in either a girl child or a boy child. Every child need a father. Thank you so much.
Welcome to my presentation. I would try to be precise and cognizant of the time, because I know I don't want to take other people's time. So I'll try and watch my own time. So I'm starting my presentation at 4:10 and I'll try to finish it at 4:20. So now my presentation is a long one, but I would just move on to some of the slides, because it might be that some of the methodological slides won't be at any interest of you people. But in any case, if after the presentation I'm here and tomorrow also I'm here, if you need to want to know the details or you want any kind of discussion, so please, I'm here. Okay? So what I see is that, after these two presentations, already the stage is set, and I think I can do it very easily. And I do see that my topic is very much relevant to the conference topic. So I'm glad the presenters are already setting the stage for me. Okay, now this research was actually conducted by ARNEC. As I hope everybody knows about ARNEC, and if anybody wants more details, they can come to me and I can explain it. This is actually a regional network on early childhood development, and this actually covers Asia Pacific region. And in ARNEC, there is a peace building working group which was established in 2013, and I'm also working in the peace building working group. And this group is conducting a few activities, and one of the activities of this group is this small qualitative survey which I'm presenting here. Now, I won't go into the details of this slide. If you want it, I can give it to you later on. We all know that violence is not good during early years, and what are the problems these children have if they are going through violence. Okay, so let's move on. The research objectives for here are to document teachers, parents, and children's voices regarding peace and peace building in Asia Pacific region, to explore best practices on conflict resolution, and to strengthen understanding and knowledge base on peace building to design future interventions in the region. Okay, and actually there wasn't a conceptual framework, but if I want to design this research and execute it in the future, I would like to go into this and I would expand it and follow Galton's positive and negative peace and structural changes and poverty and everything which is actually part of peace building. Study setting was actually 6 countries were included in this research: Bangladesh, Bhutan, Malaysia, Nepal, Pakistan, and Timor-Leste. From Pakistan, I was leading this research. Actually, I was in US at that time. And 3 people were actually instrumental in conducting this research. One of them was Salima Danani, who is a bachelor's student in University of Florida, and she was visiting Pakistan during that time. She actually collected data from Karachi. There was an advanced diploma student of AKU who was based in Skardu. Her name is Zahida Batul. She also helped me collect the data. And there's another person, Jennifer Jagjeevan, who is actually working with Christian Study Group from Punjab province. She was also instrumental in collecting data with me. So this was an exploratory study. The interview guidelines were developed by Dr. Kishore from Nepal. He is actually working with RNEC as well. We had a convenient sampling. We had informed consents before conducting in-depth interviews, and the in-depth interviews were about 45 to 90 minutes. And then we recorded them and transcribed and translated into English. Okay, so this is actually the sampling distribution of the sample that we had. As you can see, we had people from Sindh, Gilgit-Baltistan, and Punjab. Here I would like to say that from Punjab, we had some Christian people as well, with whom we were fortunate enough to do the data collection. From Gilgit-Baltistan, we had some immigrants who actually moved from Kargil area, and they were residing in Skardu at that time. So we also had an opportunity to involve them with these interviews. Now, we actually did the analysis. If you go from bottom to top, you can see that we had 89 open codes, and then we categorized them, and then there were themes out of it. So the next few slides are going to go according to the categories of, what are the categories and what people said in those categories. I'm just sharing a glimpse of this research. Let me tell you, it was, a very thick report, and I don't think so I have time to present it here. I have 5 more minutes. Okay, so about the meaning of peace. As one of the teachers said, peace is when one is mentally free from fears or threats for unavoidable or catastrophic events. Peace is an agreement to end hostility against each other. Now, a very beautiful thing came out of this research. One of the participants, who's a parent, he or she, I don't remember, he said that the word Islam itself means peace, salamati. For me, peace is accepting the rights and existence of others. In the Holy Quran, 2 forms of rights are addressed: rights of Allah, rights of human beings. The Holy Quran states that Allah can forgive us if we do not fulfill His rights, but He will never forgive those who do not fulfill the rights of fellow human beings. So this is, I can see this is a very forceful and, a very promising thing that came out of this research. I know. Thank you. Now, another important thing which actually came out of teacher, they said that often physical violence from teachers plant seeds of hatred amongst children. I can see that this is not easy for a teacher to actually, realize, but this is very inspiring. Okay, now from children, we saw that some of the children were not able to, express their views. So what we did, that we gave them an opportunity to express it by, some creative drawings. So these were some drawings which came out, and then we asked those children to, explain that what actually they have made. So out of these, what they told us verbally and, what came out of it, from children, we actually tried to categorize into 4 of the components, out of which homeschool and community were the ones. And if you can see from home, children said that peace is when it's sharing and helping. Peace is when parents spend quality time and there's no parental fight. For school, they said, again, sharing and helping. Peace is when there's no corporal punishment and no bullying. For community, they said, peace is when there is love of nature, when there is environmental conversation, when we take care of animals, when we listen to each other with patience when we respect other people's ideas and there's no violence. There were a few concerns which were also shared, that like children shared that, they have a lack of control and they have inability to handle, they don't know how to handle conflict situations. Now, these were some themes that came out of parents and teachers. They said that, again, school, home, and community are key. Capacity development at all levels is very important. There should be a complete ban on corporal punishment and stronger need for teachers and parents to work together to achieve common goals. Now, there were some unique themes from parents. I'm just going to pick some of them and share it with you. I like the last two ones very much because they highlighted that sports are very important. And then they said that sense of humor is very important. This was a unique kind of finding which came out actually, that parents think that, to reduce violence, we should teach our children a little bit of sense of humor. Now, from teachers, they spoke about media. That media is having a lot of impact on creating violence in our societies. And then, they suggested a very important, the last bullet, they said that, it needs a top-down and bottom-up approach because, sometimes the teachers feel that they are also restricted. They want to do, but they cannot do without, without the support of communities, without the support of their higher management, and without the support of their families. What were the significant barriers here? Now, I won't take much time because already one of my colleagues highlighted the role of fathers' involvement. And, I think the main barrier for for creation of peace building is that people don't have awareness. Like, one of the child said that whenever there is a conflict, I am frustrated and angry. I want to fight, but I get scared as the opponent might fight back. Now, the second one is from a parent, and she said, I do remember it was a mother, and she said, my children always fight and try to hit each other. Yes, I always try to teach them about non-violent approaches, but when I get frustrated, I spank them. Okay, so I think that awareness on peace-building concepts is very important. Now, these were the recommendations that came out. I just have 1 minute. I don't have any more time, so I'm just going to go and discuss. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, I lost it. Okay, yes, these two ones, the capacity development of teachers and parents on peace building. So as a result of this research, because this was done in 6 countries, so what ARNEC did was that they developed teachers' guidelines and parental guidelines for parenting programs for all the countries. So this is in process, and soon, I hope, they will be available on ARNEC website for its public use. And the second thing is that the review of ECD curriculum, I actually did this ECD, I was a bit over enthusiastic. I already did this exercise in 2014 when I was in University of Ulster. I did review ECD curriculum according to peace building concepts. And if I get an opportunity to share it with, at another platform or by any means, I would be happy to do that. Thank you so much.
In that the non-formal education and so I'm like a focus is that the non-formal education, how collaborate with the ECCE. So I think that the non-formal education, you people knows that I think you know already, but it's flexible and needs-based learning and the economical learning approach, which is anywhere, anytime, and then to anyone. So that is needs-based curriculum teaching learning process with available teachers. So that is another areas, but I want to focus is that is community initiative. So I think that Pakistan is the trust is very important. So how we can make a trust of the community and then resource mobilization is also key. So here in Pakistan, equivalency, accelerated needs-based learning opportunity for out-of-school children and youth, and the youth adult literacy, that is a main program. I think that today some presenters talking about the lifelong learning. We are talking about the learning and then the 21st century. So it's not only schools. If you see that the lifelong learning, school age going children is just only this time. But lifelong, including that the ECCE, we have to think about it. Also, I want to say that the life-wide learning. Sometimes people talking about the learning or education in the school only. But many people, I'm happy to talk about the community. So, and then family. Home, school, community learning center, community-based school places, or even working places. We are learning. So children can learn, not only in the schools, many places. So we have to think about that integration, like, lifelong, and then life and learning for the, that is UNESCO's the treasure within. Learning is to know, learning to do, learning to live it together, and then learning to be. So ECC is also be better to think about. And the framework of the lifelong learning and then life-wide learning. SDG people talking. So any goals, that is also in the morning session, people talk. Particularly, I want to focus on the literacy. Literacy is the foundation. Literacy is the core of any socio-economic development. Any goal is not possible if people are not having that literacy. Now, this is, I think that you people knows very well, and Madam Shahin also talked at the morning time. What is a rural life? That is also my focus as well. So this is a Bricking family house. So that is a typical Punjabi rural settings. So you can see that how there are no books, no calendar, no watch. So sometimes my friends in Japan, asking me, they have a baby child. So they get 1 year old. They start interested in that books. They are interested in that some languages. Why so many people are illiterate? Why, parents doesn't tell that, So I say that, so in that case, I sometimes show these pictures. See, there are no books, even no calendars. When our society, we can see many chances. So automatically, children at the age 1, they started interested in the books. They are interested in that what is this. And then mother also, parents, it's not mother, father, also giving that some instruction or make them interest. So children are full of interest, but in the environment, in the family, so this is a literacy environment in the rural area. So if it's not like this, by the way, TV is always there. So, but that the books, calendar, that is interesting. No? So that is nothing there. So that is the situation. So I want to focus 3 things. What is the relationship with the NFE and the ACCE? One is the family literacy. If family members are literate, there are more chances that children can learn early stage. So as I said, my friends in Japan, they are saying that the children start interesting. Why not in Pakistan? But family literacy is also very important. The second thing is that the life skill curriculum in adult literacy, mother and child care. Today, many people discuss about mortality rate, and then other things. What we believe in what we can do adult literacy for the ECCE, many areas. As our colleagues also discuss how the parents and how communities are important. Because then non-formal education is a mean to really reach to the community, mean to the parents. Because under 5-year mortality rate is, if mother is literate, they know that how to take care of the children properly. And the proper day-to-day healthcare, sanitation, environment, nutrition definitely, vaccination they know when if they are literate or prevention of the diseases. So these are related to the mother and the child care. And then adequate support their young children's development. So like child development, and then like somehow like the how to more like active support to the children to go to the school where they are learning. So I think that I have that friend in the Balochistan. I'm happy to say that Balochistan that the adult literacy curriculum recently it was approved, and in that curriculum including the mother and child care. So I believe that this mother and child care through that adult literacy can really coordinate that the good support for the ECCE from the grassroots level. The third thing is that I can see that many commonalities, similarities between non-formal education and the ECCE. As I said, non-formal is very flexible, like timing, materials, places, and it's also very much need to be interactive, practical, and needs-based approach. In other words, based on the learner's interest and the progress of learning. So flexibility, needs-based learning, like interactive. These things are very, very important for the ECCE, I believe. And also, non-formal education is that the strength is, I keep saying, in the community-based learning. So this component is, I'm sure that that is a very must area for the ECCE in the rural area. And the last one is a non-formal education strength is that collaboration mechanism. Because adult literacy, that is also that strong relationship poverty. And then there are many programs that the income generation. How parents and then the community get rid of that the poverty, that is a big issue for the ECCE. So these linkages and network through that the non-formal education program can be helpful for the ECCE. So as a conclusion that the non-formal and the ECCE, I believe that the Pakistan has a very rich experience of the non-formal education approach, which can be applicable to ECCE. And adult literacy and then community learning programs can be interlinked with this ECCE. So ECCE doesn't mean that only for the classroom, only child care. Because that the adult literacy have a lot of that programs to develop that the capacity of the parents and then develop that the capacity of the community. So these interlinkages can be one of the approach in Pakistan. So thank you very much.
Honorable Session Chair, Mr. Siraj Narsi, dear presenters, distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum. I'm very pleased today to share with you a case study of Fazaya schools and colleges in which we already implemented some of the concepts related to ECCNE. So the topic of my presentation is rethinking and revamping the concept of early childhood development education. We have been saying since the formal introduction of the term ECCE in Education for All World Conference by UNESCO, UNICEF, UNDP, and World Bank, Jomtien Declaration, Dakar Framework, all in 1990s. Then UNESCO Global Monitoring Report, the World Summit for Children, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which actually further refined the terminology and its usage. In Pakistan, National Education Policy of 1992 first time formally introduced Kachi classes and took some desirable steps into that. NAP 1998 basically talked about the needs, it charted the needs of ECE. In 2007, then for the first time, development curriculum for ECCE was developed, and in 2009, ECE was made part of mainstream education. And now I was today, like the Minister of Education shared, that SDGs have been adopted as national desired goals at Pakistan level. So that's something that is very much encouraging as well. Since all these steps have been taken, we have been seeing and we have been witnessing the efforts and energies invested into increasing the gross enrollment at ECCE level. But at the same time, we also understand that the tasks to retain this number and to ensure the quality at ECCE level is very important, and it still needs lots of consideration. Early childhood development is also necessary because we have been talking about socioeconomic development of the countries as well, because this investment in early childhood definitely is investment in our own later socioeconomic development at national level and definitely at global level as well. But then when we were talking about not only enrollment, it is basically the quality of ECCE that matters, and that definitely depends on student education, student achievement. And student achievement is impacted by, first of all, health, and we all have been talking about health, mental and physical health. Curriculum, the quality of the curriculum, the quality of the methodology that is used to deliver that content of the curriculum, the interaction and the quality of interaction between the students, parents, the environment overall, with the society at larger end. And then, at the same time, the quality of the assessment and the type of assessment as well is very important at ECCE level. All these factors put together, in this particular discussion, I would be discussing all these factors under these three areas: academic growth, community or parental involvement, and personality grooming or personality development. So here, straight away, I would like to share with you the case study at Fazaya Schools and Colleges. In 2012, the then Chief of the Air Staff had noticed the poor quality, or in other words, the poor quality of the response of the students whenever he would go and interact with them. The kids in Fazaya Schools and Colleges, we have only one preschool level, which is class prep, but definitely in terms of age, it is classes prep 1, 2, and 3, which fall under ECCE framework. So after noticing that the students were not interacting confidently, when they were sitting in the classes, they were exactly sitting like as if they were going to have some sort of doctorate degree after they leave the classes and all. So that seriousness in the classrooms, that heavy burden, the academic burden on the students was something which was really a matter of concern for the chief. And Teachers Training Institute is the facility which looks after the training and curriculum syllabus and everything else related to Fazaya Schools and Colleges. So when TTI was tasked to look into this matter and to see how to revive these classes and how to make learners happy learners and willing learners, then we had to look into all those different factors. And again, I would come to this. We found out that there was, again, these three areas which needed attention. Definitely, these are grouped up, three areas, and they have their further sub-areas. But in academic growth, for example, it was the syllabus and content which not only needed revision, it also needed to be curtailed somehow to make room for class-based activities, because the teachers were all the time worried about finishing the textbooks. Now, so that was one area where we had to make some room for the activities as well. So revamp of the teaching methodology to bring in not only lecture-based, but every sort of inquiry-based method, project method, any kind of method which would involve the students into learning and which would simply make them willing learners. And lastly, revamp of assessment and evaluation system, because we were having a pen paper-based examination system even for class prep. And that needed to be replaced with continuous assessment, which was more learner-friendly as well. Here, I only wanted to share with you an example of personality grooming activities which were made part of the syllabus then. So basically here, you see this column is having at least 8 to 9 different sort of activities which focus on communication, which focus on confidence building, which focus on national concept, national privilege and pride related concepts, which also were related to some important days. So there were 9 different categories of the activities. Some of those were linked with the syllabus content itself. I wish I could have gone into detail, but due to the shortage of time, it was probably just 3 more minutes. Similarly, I also wanted to share with you how we revamped our assessment system to make it more continuous. Here, all the assessment was done mainly on the concepts and not in concepts and skills, and these areas were not taken from the textbook. So it was not textbook-based evaluation, it was rather concept-based evaluation. And again, this assessment was not done through one sitting. It was throughout. It was a continuous assessment system in which they were assessed daily, weekly, monthly. Another area was to involve the parents in education. And for that, we again had to devise another model in which not only parent-teacher meetings, they were not enough. And when we analyzed the minutes which were given to this one meeting, there were only hardly 4 to 5 minutes reserved for one student or for one parent. Not only this was increased, the timing was increased, but also the teachers and schools were encouraged to have teacher-initiated parent-teacher meetings and administration or school-initiated meetings as well. At the same time, the parents were also involved into the classrooms, and a system was devised in which it was made compulsory that each parent would come and visit a class at least twice in a year to interact with the students, with the fellows of the ward. And usually they would come and talk about their own profession. So it was basically a dual purpose meeting as well. Not only that they were interacting with the students and the students felt like the homecoming in the classroom, but also they were talking about the profession. So we had a very interesting example in which even one sanitary worker came and very confidently, because the parents were given respect, it was made compulsory that the headmaster or headmistress would go and receive the parent, the guest parent at the gate, so that the parent feels elevated and feels respected. And they would come and they would sit in the classroom. Now when the sanitary worker came, he basically was not expecting this level of respect and regard, and he shared with rest of the fellows of his ward that, see, if I stop cleaning your houses and your washrooms for a couple of days, what kind of mess you would be living in. So this is how the students also felt, and they realized how important it was. Each profession is very important. Now, why am I giving this example? Because Pakistan Air Force has already taken up this motto since more than 60 years, which is education for all on the base. And in Pakistan Air Force, from officers till the lowest income strata, like I was giving example of a sanitary worker, each and every child, unlike other armed forces schools, we give this liberty to each and every person living on the base to come and join that particular institution, which is our Fazaya schools and colleges. So education for all has already been there. Then Parents' Council and Committee is very recently taken step in which all the parents definitely by default are the members of the Parents' Council, but then the committee is some elected parents as per the ratio of the students that we have. They made the committee, and they are very frequently called and discuss the things with. I would simply skip this, and rather I will share with you what steps were taken to revamp this whole system, to make it, to really bring it into the lines of ECCE. Teacher training was the initial step that we had to take, and a very important one. We also had to take headmistresses, headmasters, and vice principals on board. We had to train the school leadership. Parents were also taken on board because during the piloting phase, these were some of the parents who showed concern that now there were no more positions like first, second, and third. Rather, the students were they are being assessed on the holistic performance. Material development, enhancement of infrastructure. So these were the initial tasks undertaken. And then later came change management, which involved all these steps. So to sum it up, though we know our setup is different. We do not have those challenges like health. We do not have the lowest poverty level because the things are controlled by the base administration. Many things. In a way, I would say that we most probably are having more ideal situation to really run ECCE in very efficient manner. So the model that I was talking about, to put it in a visual form, this is again what we did, all the three areas which are further comprised of some other minor areas. Initial analysis, including SWOT analysis, are the analysis of different kinds were done to diagnose the problems and to plan the action. And the steps which were taken. And this is where we are now. This is the fourth year of the revamp of the SELBI and revamp of the scheme of studies in lines with ECCE. And yet every year we have to go for all these replanning, preparing, piloting of the new or the later concepts, implementation of that, and then further augmenting that, visiting all the schools and colleges and seeing how to augment the outcomes and how to add to the efficiency of the system. And then we again collect data every year and we reflect upon that to further enhance it for the next year. And change management definitely is something which continues throughout the year, throughout the cycle, I would say. It will continue. Thank you very much. Though this case study does not reflect the most of the institutions here, it's a different situation, yet we believe that there could be something that your institutions could pick up, or maybe you could suggest us something so that we further ameliorate this model or this system. And I'm really thankful to the organizers of this conference who showed their interest and who expressed a desire that we showcase this model over here, so that if at all we can benefit, or you can benefit from this model, and if we can benefit from your suggestions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all the presenters. Now we do have time for questions and answers. I am going to ask you to be very concrete on the question. Please identify the person you are asking the question as well. Please.
Hello.
Do you mind moving to the mic, because we don't have a mic? Oh, okay.
I just would like to ask that young woman from Karachi about fathers not being there. I'm a bit puzzled because usually we go from one extended family to another extended family. The woman is like the she-goat. She actually never really makes her own opinion, especially in the rural area. When anyone goes out, for the man who goes out for work or whatever, because in places where I work like Rahimia or Khan and all, most men are out working. But the extended family takes over. If she's a divorcee, then her extended family takes over. So how does that missing link, that father's presence needed, is it for one class, the DHA class of Karachi, or is it an overall recommendation? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. First of all, I just want to define the sample size which from where I took the mothers is the urban area, is like the Nasirabad community. The another thing, the sample size was the mother who are it's 40. It's total 40 mothers. Yeah, 40 mothers were interviewed, two in a focus group discussion, and five, and the another 5 or 6 are the in-depth. The mothers who are okay. Thank you so much.
I am Wing Commander Professor Hamid Ahmad Bhatti. My question pertains to the presenter from the Pakistan Air Force. Yeah, she said the chief told the principals of the headmasters to take out the textual substance from the books. My contention is, when there are board examinations, in some provinces they start from 8th class, and the 9th and 10th is certainly in the whole country. If you take out your topics from the textbooks, how will you meet the requirements of the text of the boards, which dictates you to finish all the topics of the textbooks? I don't know how can you take out
Thank you very much, sir. I think it was misunderstood because the classes for which the syllabi were revamped were only classes Prep 1, 2, and 3. We are having OUP syllabi, and those who teach, they would really agree. Yes, we do understand all those mechanics of curriculum designing where the progression and succession is there, but they would also agree that these books give you lots of chances to pick, to choose from, because there are some exercises where there is lots of repetition. So if you skip, say, one exercise and rather you do that concept through an activity, that we would prefer. So I hope it's clear. It's not about senior classes. So class prep 1, 2, and 3. So thank you.
My question is
Please.
again from Fazaiya. I saw there something, a theme, national security. And
Yes.
under that, it was something related to health. So to me, I couldn't find the link of the theme in the ECC of national security,
Okay.
and under that medical health or whatever. So I failed to understand basically.
Thank you.
Or to me,
In fact, that was a list of personality grooming activities, which I did not have time to explain. Coming from a background of the armed forces, we make sure that the students are aware of national security in this, because this is the wholesome personality of the students. This is not only about what the MDGs are there and what SDGs are there. Every chain has its own priorities as well. And one of the priority of the schools and colleges is to make the students conscious about not only national security because of the current threats, the terrorism and everything. There are lots of drills also in all the schools and colleges in which the students are told about, and there are some lectures on national security as well. Okay. Is that the...
still, I may
Maybe
be
I
very
couldn't
much,
get it, sir.
I may be very much wrong, but still, I think their theme is very much heavy for the early ECCE. You may be right.
See, because ECCE is all about wholesome personality development, and then the chains take the liberty to decide about for them, for that particular group of students who come from the parents who serve in the armed forces. National security is very important concern, and that's why they want them to be sensitized about it.
Okay.
So,
okay.
thank you.
Because we don't have other option.
Do we have another question? Yes, please.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. I have a question from my first presenter. Do we have some good example related to ECC from the early year of Islam? They were not mentioned much during all these sessions.
Thank you very much. I think it's a very relevant question because of shortage of time. Actually, this whole system of schooling is fairly new, about 200 years old because of the industrial age. And as we see in the Islamic model for early childhood education, mother and father, it's the responsibility of parents. So there was no concept of schooling throughout. And the family, as it said, that it takes a village to raise children. So the parental education and training at home was so important.
So, ma'am, we are missing actually parental education.
Exactly.
This is the main point. That's why we need all these things to be
exactly.
done in the schools actually.
That's
this
why
was
my
point.
proposal contained that there should be community centers where mothers are also involved in education. In that way, they, along with other facilitators, would be trained and they would not be set apart from the children, because the most harassing thing for a child is to be away from his parents.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
अच्छा, सुबह के सेशन में मुझे ज़्यादा बोलने का टाइम नहीं मिला था, तो मैंने कहा आज इस वक्त मैं वसूल कर लूँगा, लेकिन इस वक्त भी जो है वो घोड़े की रेस चल रही है. अच्छा, the first three papers, the one on Khudi, the one on peace building, and the one on father's involvement, ये मैंने खुद पढ़ के इनके abstracts मैंने select किए थे. I was member of the academic committee as well. And I had particular interest in these three papers, so I'll first talk about it. You know, खुदी का जो लुब लबाब है वो ये है, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे कि तेरी रज़ा क्या है, ठीक है ना? I think it's most relevant to the concept of early childhood development as we are trying to understand it, because through the process of that development, not just education itself, but through that process of development, and the personality development notion was discussed in one of the papers, it is so important that you give the child the resources, the environment, the flexibility, the freedom, so that the child's natural faculties can be nurtured, so that the child can achieve his or her full potential. That's all holistic ECD is all about, as far as I understand it. Okay? Because every child comes into this world with certain qualities, with certain mental faculties, with certain other strengths, and of course some weaknesses. And what is important in life is just not economic success. What is important in life is that a person is able to realize his or her God-gifted natural potential. And if a person is able to do that, I believe, if that person understands it really, I believe that person would be a happy person. And definitely, if not physically, mentally healthy person too, emotionally healthy person too. This may be more philosophical, than anything else, but that's what the idea is. You try and do holistic ECD from that point of view, you're 10% successful, you've done a good job, because nobody can reach the highest level of idealism that we often talk about when it comes to, a concept of Khudi, right? The paper on peace building was important to me from a different point of view. Unfortunately, today's Pakistan that we're living in, this is really, really important. A huge number of our people live in areas where, in one way or the other, violence, conflict, absence of peace in any different way is affecting their lives, whether it be rural areas or they be urban areas. And therefore, it was important for us to understand that from an education and development perspective, particularly for young kids, how can we through not only just curriculum, but overall how we design the program of early childhood development, that we can achieve the notions of, I don't want to use the word peace, but more importantly, concepts like pluralism, tolerance, and I will go a step beyond tolerance. See, tolerance gives us, at least to me, an impression that we have different point of views, but I'm just tolerating you, okay? I don't agree with you, but I'm tolerating you. You don't agree with me, but you tolerate me. That's what tolerance is. I would like to go a step further and say acceptance. Okay? We have a difference of opinion on something. We come from different backgrounds, maybe different faiths, different social class or whatever, different language background, different cultural background, okay? But I accept you and you accept me with no conditions. That is a step further from tolerance, So I was interested in learning how through not only just curriculum, but overall program design and program implementation in today's Pakistan, we can achieve an education overall development process whereby we can start to build in and build upon the values of pluralism, where we all can, coexist happily with each other, the values of cohesion in the society, unity, the values of acceptance, a step above tolerism. So we can respect the diversity which we have, and every country has diversity, every nation has diversity. We were formed by our founder in 1947, knowing that we were going to be a diverse nation, ethnically, religiously, sectorally, any way that you look at. So until and unless we learn to respect our diversity and we learn to live together as a nation, we will continue to face the problems that we have. And how do we achieve that? The first 1,000 days, we've heard a lot about it. And this is the time, in my view, this is the time when through the intervention of a holistic early childhood development program, or curriculum is just one component of it. Not only just curriculum, but how you actually implement that program, that perhaps we can try and achieve these values and this ethics, which are ethics of humanity as well as which are ethics of our faith. आप उसको किसी भी तरीके से देख लें, ठीक है ना? And here is a thought that I want to leave you with. See, it's the process of ECD, and I will continue to use this term ECD as compared to ECCE, so I have my own notions on it, that we are able to target 3 generations at a given time if we talk about parental involvement. अभी किसी ने जिक्र किया था कि मोस्टली हमारे यहाँ एक्सटेंडेड फैमिलीज़ होती हैं, so in many cases even grandparents are involved. It's up to us how we can implement a holistic ECD program in a way that through that program we can touch the lives of not only just the child and not only just the parents, but the grandparents also. And imagine, I just want to leave you with the thought that if we did that, and if that program teaches 3 generations of the family the values of equality, pluralism, cohesion, unity, tolerance, acceptance, respect for diversity, dignity, you can imagine if you touch the lives of 3 generations, okay, over a period of few years, should we see a change in our society in terms of the values that we hold, right? Khudi, theek hai na? Right? So I see that as a vision for holistic ECD in Pakistan. Okay? Easier said than done, totally understood. ठीक है ना? लेकिन कोशिश करने में कोई हर्ज नहीं है, right? One very important topic, father's involvement. Although the subject matter was, for those fathers who are away for economic reasons, and there are so many families here, okay, and this is a factor of research that we can't control, okay? But I wanted to look at it from a different point of view, and that was even in those families where fathers are here, they're not anywhere, and yet they're at home, and yet they are not involved in a child's life, okay? And that is sad. Therefore, a good holistic ECT program has to involve a father in a child's life. I used to be back home in Houston, scoutmaster of a local Muslim Boy Scout troop. Or in America, scouting is a father-son activity. Okay, लेकिन हमारे troop के अंदर जो है वो always when there was an activity, boys will always come with the mothers. We tried our best to involve the fathers on camp outs and other outdoor activities. The fathers would never show up or rarely show up. And somehow वो हमारे culture में है कि बच्चे को पालना माँ की जिम्मेदारी है. ठीक है ना? बाप ने कमा लिया तो वो काफ़ी है. ठीक है ना? So मुझे भी आता ही है. So these were some of the notions that I wanted to discuss, but I want to leave you guys with a thought. Think about, you're all practitioners of ECD in one way or the other. Think about how we can use the holistic model of, जब हम holistic कहते हैं तो उसमें हम आम तौर पे health, education, nutrition की बात करते हैं, ठीक है ना? But to me, what is more important in a holistic approach is parental involvement, particularly father's involvement, grandparents' involvement, if this is an extended family, and as somebody said, it takes a village to raise a child, the overall social environment in which the child is growing up. If that overall environment is not a positive environment, okay, then it's going to have the impact on the child also. So how as development practitioners, we can create an environment for the child which is a positive, nurturing environment that results in, the child ultimately realizing his or her full natural potential. With that, I'd like to thank you all. I hope that you enjoyed this session, and will continue to enjoy the conference. Thank you very much.
Now it's my turn, so excuse me for a minute. So now, if I can have the presenters to step up, please, to receive the certificate of participation. Yeah. Let me just get my list. So, Amina Murad. Sanasia. Sima Saulinabi. And Wing Commanders Shahufta Jabin. She left. She left. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Please proceed to the tea. Remember, only 15 minutes, and then we need to go back here for the second session. Thank you.